We're going to start at the cradle with Emma O'Connell's poem, taken from the anthology of West Riding dialect verse, A Babby at Arse. If your tear isn't ready, you're feeling done up, it's no use to grumble and grass. There's nobody no time to take notice of you, not now there's a babby at house. You can't get to fire, there's hippins to dry. You have to car down as quiet as a mouse. You can't listen into football results. No, there's a babby at house. You don't even whistle to dog when it's out. Even cat's forgotten to cross. And if somebody's cheek to knock at your door, it's shh, there's a babby at house. If you car in a corner and light up your pipe, it's no comfort, it's nobbut a farce. For at least smell of rick gets you nought but black looks because there's a babby at house. I know that we promised them when we were wed we'd tak 'em for better or worse. It seems all one sort, I'm beginning to think, sin we'd a babby at house. But I think it's like me, some colourine, and like me its hair's a bit sparse, taking all things we all it'd be a bit stale if we hadn't a babby at house.
This is a woman's poem, I'm claiming it. It's an East Riding poem by Claire Ellen, recalling Christmases long ago. She calls it To My Sister. Didst thou remember Christmases when we were little lasses? We helped a mam to make mince pies, and then we polished brasses. We shined up candlesticks that bright and put new candles in, for mam to light a Christmas neat when Santa Claus come in. And then we got a pie piece and put our own mark on 'em and set 'em up on chimney shelf for Santa Claus to get 'em. We hung our stockings up on post at bottom end at bed, and then we tried to get to sleep because me father said, "Ony barn that Santa enters gets a stocking full of cinders." When we woke up on Christmas morn, we had no candle lit. We got our stockings off at post and guessed we all our might. And then we shouted to our mam to let us have a light. She come with candle in her hand and a neat gown long and white. She sat on bed and watched us unteen all its strings. She seemed as forced as we were with all our little things. There were pokes of chocolate pennies and sugar candy pigs and goodies, nuts and oranges and red-tipped sugar cigs. And down at very bottom, when we thought we'd got all things, a little candy box apiece with 2 real golden rings. And then we wrapped 'em up again and tried to get to sleep. But I kept thinking of mince pies and went to have a peep. Matches are fun. And struck a light and licked on chimney shelf. Pies weren't where we'd left 'em. So says I to myself, as sure as Santa's getting 'em, as sure as doggies fleas. Them lads at school were telling lies, 'cause me dad eats his with cheese.
Well, school days, we're growing up already, and this is a story told by John Hartley, who is best remembered, I suppose, for his editing of that clock almanac. John Hartley wrote this about 2 little boys he saw in the streets of Halifax, and it's called Bite Bigger. As I were it through town to me work, I were lat, for aught whistles are going. I happened to hear a remark that had fetched tears through the heart of a stone. It were raining and snowing and cold, and flagstones were covered with muck, and the east wind both whistled and howled. It sounded like nought but ill luck. When 2 little lads, donned in rags, bart stockings or shoes of the feet, come traipsing away over flags, both on 'em sodden with wheat. Toadest mud happen be 10, young 'em be half on't, no more. As I looked on, I said to mysen, God help folk i' this weather that's poor. Big un sam summat off ground, and I looked just to see what could be. 'Twere a few wizened flowers he'd found, and they seemed to have filled him with glee, and he said, "Come on, Billy, maybe we shall find summat else by and by, and if not, thou mun share these with me, when we get to some spot where it's dry." Light-hearted they trotted away, and I followed, 'cause 'twere in my road, but I thought I'd ne'er seen such a day, it warn't fit to be out for a toad. Soon big un again slipped away, and Sam summat else out at muck, and he cried out, "Look here, Bill, today aren't we blessed with a seat of good luck? Here's an apple, and most on it's sound. What's rotten I'll throw into the street. Want it good to lig there to be found. Now both on us can have a treat. So he wiped it and rubbed it and then said, Billy, thee bite off a bit. If thou hasn't been lucky this end, thou'll share with me sich as I get. So at little un bait off a touch. T'other's face beamed with pleasure all through, and he said, Nay, thou hasn't ta'en much. Bite again, and bite bigger now, do. I waited to hear naught no more. Thinks there's a lesson for me. There's a heart i' thee breast if that poor. World were richer with more sich as thee. Twopence were aught brass-eyed, and I'd meant it for ale when come knowing. But I thought I'll go give it yon lad, he deserves it for what he's been doing. So I said, Lad, here's twopence for thee sen. And they stared like two geese. But he said, well, tear stood in his ee, Nah, it'll just be a penny apiece. God bless thee, do just as thee will, and may better days speedily come. Though clammed and half done, my lad, still that a deal nearer heaven nor some.
Here's John Hartley in rather lighter mood, Mary's bonnet. Have you seen our Mary's bonnet? It's a stunner in no mistake. There's a bunch of roses on it and a feather down at back. Her red laces and fine ribbons and a cock-a-doodle-doo, and around her pretty faces a string of posies blue. When she went to church last Sunday, Passon couldn't find his text, and fat old Mrs. Grundy says, Mary, pray, what next? Lads all winked at one another, lasses giggled i' their glee, and whole at congregation had yon bonnet i' their ee. Then choir started singing, and first hymn that they sang were all about the flowers of 50 summers gone. But when they saw our Mary, they had a mullock on it, 'cause they thought that all them flowers had been put on Mary's bonnet. Then Passon said most kindly there were no offence intended, but flower shows were out of place at church where saints attended. And if his erring sister wished to find a way to glory, she shouldn't wear upon her head her old conservatory. Now, Mary isn't short of pluck. She jumped up in a minute. She looked as if she'd swallowed church and everybody in it. Passon, she says, your head is bare. Nowt in it and nowt on it. Suppose you put some flowers there like these that's on my bonnet.
Well, my first contributions from Wensleydale, from Hawes, or Tars as it's called up there. I'm a dairy farmer, so naturally I rather like this one. It's about a milking enthusiast, and it's by John Thwaite, who was a grocer up at Hawes and wrote very good Wensleydale dialect. One or two words in here you mightn't know. Washing time and sowing time, this is to do with sheep. Before present-day dips were invented, they used to actually wash the sheep and work some salve into the fleece. Dipping time and clipping time and spearning time is when they're weaning the lambs. With lambing time and hay time, a sweating time away, they used to have a washing time and sowing time, they say, and dipping time and clipping time and spearning time of we. But of all the times a farmer has, it's milking time for me. I shoves me head, wheel into the flank when planted on me stool. Me maester tells me all neighbours that at milking has near fool. I nip me pail atween me legs, and then I grip two paps, and with many a swish a lashing tail about me lugs she laps. There's a prize for milking down at ours, and as having a go next show, I mean to give 'em a run for the brass, I will and all by go. If I say to mysen, as bad to be it, I learnt to milk when 10, and first at home and then at place, I've been at it ever sen. To many a youngish servant lad, it's maybe a hardish job. This job that I like best on farm, as seer as my name's Bob. Some lads are fond of gambling, and lots are fond of ale. I's fond at music milk can make when it's sailing into the pail.
Now, this next poem didn't grow out of the pail, but it grew almost literally out of the churn. I was trying to churn Beesting's butter one hot summer night, if you all know what Beesting's butter is, and it went sleepy. And I went on, I don't know whether it ever did churn. Anyway, this poem grew out of the rhythm of the churn. I've called it the Dairymaid's Plaint. Thunder's in dairy, Hobbs is in churn. Divil hopper fairy, cream won't churn. I've warned it, I've larned it, I've worn with it and sworn at it, I've nattered it and splattered it, but cream won't churn.
She's nattered it and splattered it, but cream won't churn.
Missus keeps on wasting time at yours home. Cannot bide a ferreting and dothering in room. I've milled it and chilled it, I've warmed it and charmed it, I've tampered with and pampered it, but butter won't come.
She's tampered with and pampered it, but butter won't come.
Peter's down at Beckside, fain to see me home. Not so long at he'll bide if butter don't come. I've flayed it and brayed it, I've flopped it and dropped it, I've shacked it and laked with it, but butter won't come.
She's shacked it and laked with it, but butter won't come.
You would have thought I'd sing to it, and if to make it turn. Instead I should be kissing Pete and crying out in fern. I've fettled it and settled it, I've proddled it and codded it, but now I'm bound to mizzle off, 'cause cream won't churn.
Oh, now she's bound to mizzle off, 'cause cream won't churn.
This is Business Proposal, which is one of Arthur Jarrett's comical poems, and most of Arthur Jarrett's are comical poems, and we all enjoy them very much. I hope Arthur, who's sitting there in the middle, isn't too severe a critic of the reader of this one. I've been thinking just lately, says Mary, those courted me 10 years, come with. It's time we did something about it. Well, there's not even Axmas yet. Say, as axing do, sin it's leap year. No, hold on a minute, says Ted. There's your little thing that's forgotten. Where does I get brass to get wed? I've 3 Ayrshire cows and some poultry and a dozen odd ewes and a sow. And £35 I've been saving for that heifer I lit on at show. And that's about length on it, Mary. Just know, I could scarce afford bring. I bought Yanni Market, says Mary, and I aim to be wed afore spring. And they ain't frat this end about money. I've laid a bit by out of gears. An army market for them 3 odd Ayrshire's, and there's bidding there. 50 apiece. No, but 50, says Ted. No, come, Mary. I know they'll be stopping on spot, but I won't make a deal at 50. 170 for the lot. There's none on 'em worth it, says Mary. Over, I mightn't see the stuck. I'll make it 160 and they'll give me 5 back for luck. Make it £3 luck money, says Edwards. The knows very well as I'd put. But sin it'll all be in family, I'm one as leaf tack it as not. Does you think we might manage that heifer? Around them. And cheap, says he. Bondo on the heifer, says Mary. They'll let him act do with me. I've money in mailbag, says Mary. 160 I brought. There's a sale up at Intact next Thursday. We'd best get some furniture about. I'll give them a hand on it, Mary. They'll give me a kiss. Ted, says she, those 40. It's time they'll kiss somewhat. They can learn all they want for be me. I'll see, says Ted, when I've done counting. Though I's not at all certain I dust. I can get broken in afore wedding. We'd best make it money's right first. It'll take the fortnight, says Mary. It's Merslins in 3 bits. And they'd keep me waiting much longer, those driving me out of me wits. Come on then, says Ted. Get it over. Those a fine bonny lass, I'll allow. I know what thou puts me in mind on. Yon heifer I lit on a chow.
Well, we're getting on, and this one, which is by F.A. Carter, who writes in Huddersfield dialect but now lives in Harrogate, is called A Fort Wedding. A wedding's a wedding, but never heed that. It's not going to be a big do. I've said it afore, and I'll say it again. We's nobbut asked just one or two. Just nearest relations on his side and ours. Beyond that, not one mother's son. It's us at Paste Piper, and we're calling tune, and that's what I'll stick to for one. But we might stretch a point for me Aunt Alice Ann, and even me cousin Joe Spink. And if there's folks thinks that it's costly for some brass, all I can say is, let 'em think. Still, it's no use fair axing for gossip and talk. There's enough of that knocking about. So we'll ax me Aunt Ada and their Mary Jane, 'cause it's very well known that they've nought. But there's me Aunt Martha. You know what shoe is? Why, it's 50 to 1, you can bet. If we axed me Aunt Ada and didn't ax her, they'd be murdered on next time they met. And if Mary Jane comes, me Aunt Martha'll expect to bring all her tribe, every one. And there's Lord knows how many's as much right as them. I don't know what's to be done. One leads to another. They're still mounting up, and I don't know whatever to do. We haven't put one down on t'other side yet, and we've getting to 72. We shall have to start right at beginning again. We've letting it all go too far. If this here's a wedding, next wedding we have, I shall tell them to stop as they are.
Well, actually at the wedding, a famous secretary of the Yorkshire Dialect Society, who died some years ago, Arthur Stanley Umpleby, wrote a series of speeches for a village wedding. He spent 10 years as station master at Staithes, and he was an expert on the coastal dialect. Well, this is the best man's speech, a fisherman, at the village wedding. Ask best man here, so stand aside, while I get toast at maids at bride. The towtmud had nought to fear, but Noah's up as nane so seer. I'll ax you all to lift your glasses and drink with me to bonny lasses. These bridesmaids here, it's good to see could Ardlin's onny bonnier be. And if they're nobbut maids today, seeing brides they'll be and gien away. I've had me eye a yan a bit. She's breety teen and keen o' wit, with golden hair and sunny smile. I'd like to gan with her down dial. And happen yard she'll decide to make her send me blushing bride. I doesn't tell you any more, I see a father's over there. I've said nought yet to him or her. I didn't want to make a stir. For it jobby hand I don't have strayed, the dain't make speeches if I would trade, nor oft tak on sight jobs as this. I dain't know which yan to kiss, if I have to gan, or if she'll call, or if I had to kiss 'em all. But as I was getting rather worst, I think I'd best get on with toast. So here it is, take bridal maids. I hope the beauty never fades.
I'm speaking now exclusively to the gentlemen in the audience. This piece of advice was sent to my father on a printed postcard in 1915. This is on how to treat the wife. Always give your wife a kiss when you go out and when you come in. Clean alt boots and alt windows. Swilt dostens. Get up an hour sooner at Friday morning, do black leading for her. Rub it furniture down with furniture cream once a week and always mingle at clothes. Carry her cokes out and don't leave her without a skep of coils in the house. Help her to shack carpets, and when she's washing, don't leave her to twine blankets and sheets with her sin. Don't shopping for her, especially for heavy things, and don't consider it beneath your dignity to wash up inside pots whenever she wants to sit down and read a bit. Always leave the easiest chair for the wife to sit on, and slip her a bit of an handkerchief round her shoulders if she seems a bit cold. Give her all at cream off at milk. Eat a crust for her. And cut her a bit at tenderest when you carve it sunder joint. Never let whitewash box. Mac beds, set oven a gate for her, and allers need her a doth. Bring home all your brass. Don't go out of a neat. Don't drink, don't smoke, don't swear. Don't look foul. Don't sit down while she tells you, and if you sit down, don't shift while she gives you leave. And if that don't satisfy her, ask her if there's aught else she wants, and choose what it is she wants, let her have it. And if that don't satisfy her, show it her.
Well, of course, all marriages don't turn out too well. That ought to have done, but anyway. This is the sad story of a farmer's son that so far forgot himself as to marry a girl from London. And it's the lad's sister that's complaining about it. I never thought it had come to pass. Oh, a Jackie's wedded a city lass. With powder and paint she clarts her face, and she talks like folks on wireless days. For a year he were courting Robinson niece, but he's been and getting a London piece. She walks up village on heels that high, all lads mocks her mincing by. Her skirts that straight she could never frame to clim out style, why you'd think her lame, till she clicks up her petticoats, bold as brass, yon shameless piece of a London lass. Annie Robinson's homely, aye, but her uncle's getting a bit put by. She's a house-proud lass, is Robinson Annie. She's quiet and menseful, kind and canny. And she'll get his brass when he dies, wilt niece. Jack's getting out with his London piece. She can't bake bread and she won't scrub floor, nor yet wash step on her own front door. His dad were allus a careful man, but she's made Jack buy on instalment plan. He'll rue it, says meester, but fond young ass mun stick it out with his London lass.
The next little poem is by one of our best poets of today, Fred Brown. It's from his book, The Muse Went Weaving. He calls it A Wash Day Sandwich. Now then, lass, that bundle's rung. Tuck 'em out and get 'em hung. Give that pile of socks a rub. Fill that bowl and swill that tub. Nature, freshed by gentle rain, fills up her glad bowls yet again. Starts a song from brook and stones as every tree drips undertones. Drat it, Luke, it's coming on. It would do when we've nearly done. Fetch them blankets, fold them sheets. Rainy days, Max clothes or sneets.
Well, our society's almanac expert, Ben Dyson, got together a year or so ago a collection of material from 19th century almanacs, which the West Riding was particularly rich in, and the Society published the Yorkshire Pudding Almanac with a specially designed cover to look like John Hartley's Clock Almanac. And these are facsimile reproductions, the actual pages reproduced from over 20 of the different almanacs of the 19th century and the early 20th century. And one of the latest of them, from about the 1930s, the Colne Valley Almanac, which went on being published fairly late, published this little piece called Going to Messiah. Two Gawker chaps were walking down Scar Lane one cold December day when one said, I'm thinking of going to Messiah at Huddersfield Town Hall next Friday night. Wilt go with me, Bill? Nay, music's not in my line. I like a good comic song or a lively jig, but I may know to this sacred stuff, as they call it. It's a bit of boon, me, and I reckon there'll be no arse out there. Mostly religious folk and swells donned boiled shirts and women with not much on. Now, thou mun go with this head and tell me all about it sometime. During the following week, these pals met again when the following conversation took place. Well, I'd it to go on at Messiah. Tell us all about it, but wait while I fill my pipe, then I can take it in better. It were fair champion, lad. I wouldn't have missed it for $1. When I get there, town all were crowded, chock full of folk. T'organ chap were laking about with organ, playing no particular like, no but running his fingers up and down as if he were practising like our Martha used to do when he started learning to play piano. Then they brought Messiah in, at any rate what I took to be it. It were biggest instrument on platform and it were covered with a green bag. When they'd taken it out of the bag, a chap rubbed it belly with a stick and I should have heard it groan. It was something like last expiring moan of a dying car. It wasn't much better when he started twitching his ear oil up, and in a bit a chap came on, donned in a white waistcoat, and everything were as quiet as a mouse. He had a stick, and he used it and all to some tune, I'll tell thee. If the axe is me, he ought to wallop some of them chaps that were reckoning to sing. They hadn't been going long afore they were fratching like cats. The one side said they were king at glory, and the other side said they were, so which side really won, I've no idea. I think they ought to go on to Leeds Road next day and settle it there. Then there were a bit of bother about some sheep that were lost. I don't know who they belonged to, but they must have been champion twisters and turners, judging bit words and fancy music. One lot of singers must have been very fond of mutton, because they kept on saying, "All we like sheep." I couldn't help saying to a chap sat next to me, "It's all right to sheep in moderation, but give me a bit of beef underdone." He looked daggers at me and he said, "Shush," so I shushed. In a bit, a big chap got on his feet and started singing. I wish I could have heard him. He'd a voice like old J.B. Shaw Linfit, who once frightened all folk on Blackpool Promenade when he went to top at tower and started shouting, "View hello," just like he did when he were hunting on Blackmoor Foot. Well, this chap were as mad as blazing, singing somewhat about heathen raging together. And band were just as furious. They saged away at the fiddles while I'm certain their arms worked. I were feeling a bit stiff and a bit stall, I'm bound to confess, when everybody at the audience stood up, and band and singers and a chap with a long trumpet started Hallelujah chorus. By gum, lad, it were fair grand. It made me back go into cold shivers, especially when they said it were bound to rain for ever and ever. I'd had my bob's worth, so I pushed my way out and made me wait at the station before the rain came on, because I forgot my umbrella.
Now this one is for the ladies. It's called Frustration by Muriel Carr, who's the sister of Austin Hyde, who many of you may have heard speaking the dialect very beautifully from the East Riding. Frustration. I baked a cake and made it rise. I baked a tray of grand mince pies. I made a pie with custard on. 'Twere getting dark afore I'd done. Thou never come. I turned our parlour inside out. I polished brasses with my clout. I whitened step, I blackened scraper. I covered kitchen floor with paper. Thou never come. I put hot oven shelves in bed. I got our parlour table spread. I put big kettle full on top and flowers in vase to finish job. Thou never come. Next day, I whitewashed kitchen out. I got our sweep to clean out suit. I turned all chairs out into the back and wrapped me sen round with a sack. And then thou come. Well, now we're back into the West Riding, F.A. Carter again, a forenoon. Lass, that looks right arty. I wish I felt as well. There's nobody no idea of the agony I feel. I wakened up at midnight with pains right up one side and palpitations that bad I fairly couldn't bide. I wakened our George Henry. I said, "I'm born to thee." He said, "Just turning over, that's thee and no, not thee." And when I went on groaning with pain as I were in, he says, "There's plenty deed, lass, about making all that din." Oh, that's just sort of comfort that ailing women gets. They've getting out some husbands as hard as granite sets. If some had had my ailments, there would have been a shout. But that one near my way, mon, there's naughty crying out. When I got up this morning, I almost fell on the floor. I scarcely bate a breakfast, a toothful, not no more. And when I started fettling, you talk about your pain. But nobody thinks I ail out because I ne'er complain.
Harvest Festival. Arthur Jarrett again. Sam Hardy were a blacksmith and a chapel man and all. He had a bit of garden backing on the smithy wall, and if thou stopped for a time of day or watched him setting arrows, thou'd at the far end about his vegetable marrows. Now Sam could grow a marrow. We mun give old man his due. He'd nuss it like a bairn for the day that it was sow. But when he took first place for yon at agricultural show, his ears swelled like his marrows. You could almost watch it grow. Now, it was Harvest Festival about which I'm relating, and night afore, a few of us was busy decorating. When up comes Sam, all puffed with pride, and put upon the marrow. It's our big to look, he says, I fetched it in a barrow. And he trailed it into chapel, and then his face went black as sin. For there, in front of the table, stood what licked his marrow twin. What's this skittering thing, says he. Matthias Brown, I lay, he'll never grow a marrow if he tries till judgment day. And he swelled it under the pulpit. And he place, he put his arm. He stuck it up in middle, twixt a pork pie and a brawn, and a jar of pickled onions and a quarter pound of tea. And there it stood, till Sunday come for every hand to see. Now, Monday night was sale of fruit, and some were auctioneer. And where folks get their money from, it fair kept me, I see. Why, 18 pence a piece was bid for eggs for a Virginie, and a bunch of grapes for a parson wife went up to half a guinea. Some sold the pickled cabbage, and he sold the hazel pears, the balsams and the damsons. It was best we'd done for years. And now then, Mr. Smith, says he, just reach the arms, full stretch, and I'll up that first prize marrow, and we'll see what it'll fetch. Now here, he says, we have something. Why, it must be worth a quid. But didn't all show together, friends, I'd like to hear you bid. There's not saying not like this afore anybody's garden. And up pipes little Jimmy Briggs, I'll bid the Falcon's farthing. However, price got better, and I bid him half a crown, and it went to half a sovereign afore Sammy knocked it down. And now, he says, they tell me there's another somewheres round. It warn't worth pulling, friends, he says. It should have stopped to grow. It calls it Sanamara, but I wouldn't vouch for that. It's a yellow straight cowcumber, and it's run a bit too fat. I was not just say warns it, but he has a lot to learn. No, surely, Sam, says Stewart. Why, thou ought to know, it's there. I swapped them round this morning, I thought everybody knew. I'll have to ask the pardon if I misremembered though. However, give us Sam as max, and up and tuck it yam. It'll last our winter if to max it into jam. And so Sam learned his lesson. It was Yanni should have known, which is, don't miscall a marrow when it's marrow to the arm. And somewhat else, of which our man was well and truly cured. If there's wanting best a bargain, never trust a chapel steward.
Hedger was the author of the London Piece that I read some time ago. She's the daughter of a one-time vicar of Gothland. And this is one of hers about Gothland churchyard, about two old farmers that have got themselves buried there and they're having a nice sleep in the afterlife when the sheep get in. Sheep at churchyard. Odd Mr. Fuzzock was sleeping sound, safe under grund, till summat made him turn of his bedding, sither a wedding. But thing had put him i sick a state with churchyard gate. It were fastened back, as Billy'd putten it, and naebody'd shutting it. Sheep got in, the did I see her, the maestlings dear. A wedding procession they had, and seeing damage were done. All of it graves they spread, never stopping, and seeing were cropping, champing and chavelling, holling and berry, bah, they were merry, with Christmas wreaths for a wedding feast, biggest at least. Bon, says odd Fuzzock to Arthur all, this fair caps all. I can feel 'em stamping like elephants on all crescents that Mary Ann had put in the top. Not Jan'll stop. Aye, says Arthur, and Jane's good wreath. They've getten beeth. I hopes they'll suffer for this day's lark with bellywark. Could our nobbut get out, I'd flay yon Billy while he went silly, leaving yon gate and spoiling our sleep. I tented sheep on Goodland Green when I were a lad, and if my dad had catched me leaving yat unsnacked, I'd not have recked very much to me supper at night, nor me break see it. But folks nowadays is a poorish lot. We've getten best spot. Aye, says Fuzzock, it's truth thou's saying. There's organ playing, and near me yon bloody piece she plays caps lot. Its sheep may safely graze.
Well, we started off with the Babbage House, and we've got to the churchyard, but here we go up to heaven, for this poem is called First at Suet by John Hartley. He breathed his last, then sank to rest. Death seldom claimed a better. They put him by, but what were best, he sent 'em back a letter to tell 'em all how he'd gone on and how it gate to enter, and gave 'em rules to act upon if ever they should venture. St. Peter stood with keys in hand. Says he, "What do you want, sir? If took 'em in, you understand, unknown to me, you can't, sir. Pray, what's your name? Where are you through? Just make your business clear." Says he, "They call me Parson Drew. I come through Pudser here." "You come through Pudser, do you say? Don't try such jokes on me, sir. I've kept this gate too long a day. I'll not be fooled by thee, sir." Says Drew, "I wouldn't tell a lee. For the sake of all that's in it, if you've a map of England by, I'll show you in a minute." So Peter got a timetable. They glued our map together, and Drew did all that he was able, but couldn't find a stiver. At last he says, "There's Leeds Town Hall, and there stands Bradford's Mission. It's just atween them two, that's all. The map's an old edition. But there it is, I'll lay a crown, and if you've never known it, you've missed a bonny Yorkshire town, though money be at scorn it." He opened gate, says he, "It's time somebody come, I'll trust thee. Thou'll find inside no friends of thine. Thou'st first that's come through Putsey."
Now for the penultimate, a little poem from Gordon Allen North, who is one of our very good poets from the Home Valley. And so be it. There's gold i' the hand and gold i' the heart, silver in purse and silver in soul. Some gift lot, some never part. We're as we are. God bless us all.
And this last epitaph for a countryman was written for my grandfather's brother, younger brother, my great-uncle, Charlie Coates, who was a Dattel man, a farm labourer, All his life he never spoke anything but the purest Cleveland dialect. And he had 2 or 3 little fields just round the churchyard at this sleepy little village of Welbury. He was a great cricketer and footballer in his day, as well as a great craftsman. Those worked for lang enough, no bidey peace at Church Garthia, but fields thou kept se wheel. Come spring, the cows and calves will graze nigh hand, and soil thou loved, his sleep will be the seal. I field and forest now for 50 year, near yan could stack or thirk or fell a tree, snig, slash, mow, milk, drive horses, or guide cliff, dig drains or lig a hedge as weel as thee. Lang sin thou bowled for village cricket team, knocked runs, scored goals, won money a running prize. Life's innings howard now, rest quiet a while. There'll be a spot for thee in paradise.